Look at this scene. It is 6 o'clock on a Tuesday evening. 40 students lined up in pristine white uniforms, executing synchronized kicks across a spotless mat. The instructor stands at the front, a black belt wrapped around his waist, commanding absolute respect. To the untrained eye, this looks like the ultimate American dream, turning a lifelong passion into a noble, recession-proof business, where people pay you every month to teach them discipline and self-defense. But behind that wall of trophies sits a cold, unforgiving financial architecture. An architecture that does not care how many tournaments you have won, how crisp your sidekick is, or how long you trained under a legendary grandmaster. While the martial arts industry in the United States generates tens of billions of dollars annually, the vast majority of local independent dojos, operating across suburban strip malls, are quietly bleeding cash. The owners enter this world as elite martial artists, believing that technical mastery on the mat naturally translates into commercial success behind the front desk. They discover far too late that running a martial arts school is not an extension of your training. It is a high-risk commercial real estate operation, a continuous customer acquisition game, and a brutal battle against student churn wrapped in a belt ranking system. Today, we dismantle the hidden economics of owning a martial arts club. We expose why 6 out of every 10 dojos vanish within 2 years, how franchise networks extract millions from unsuspecting practitioners, and the exact business systems that separate thriving multi-location academies from total financial ruin. Welcome to the World Money Desk. Before a single student steps onto your floor, you face a fundamental operational choice that dictates your entire cost trajectory. The entry point into this industry varies dramatically based on how much risk you are willing to absorb up front. At the absolute bottom tier sits the sub-rent model. This is the financial equivalent of squatting inside someone else's cash flow. You approach a local community center, a gymnastics facility, or a commercial fitness gym, renting their floor space during off-peak morning or mid-afternoon hours when their main operations are silent. You roll in portable puzzle mats, conduct your classes, pack everything away, and leave. The capital requirement here is minimal, just enough to cover basic portable equipment, general liability coverage, and local marketing. The risk is virtually non-existent, but your operational ceiling is suffocatingly low. You cannot build a recognizable local brand on the exterior of a building you do not own. You cannot run lucrative evening classes when the primary tenant needs the space. And you can never cultivate the deeply rooted sense of community that keeps members paying for 5 consecutive years. The moment you decide to build a permanent home, you step into the commercial storefront model, the baseline standard for any serious operator. You sign a multi-year lease on a commercial unit in a retail strip or light industrial zone. Here, the financial reality sets in instantly. You are hit with heavy lease security deposits, professional rollout mats permanently anchored to the floor, wall padding to prevent high-impact injury during sparring, custom exterior signage, student management software, and mandatory cash reserves. If you elevate the concept further into a premium boutique academy featuring custom spring subfloors engineered to absorb repeated heavy throws, wall-to-wall protective padding, luxurious changing rooms, and an elevated glass viewing lobby for parents, the upfront capital outlay skyrockets. You are no longer just opening a martial arts class, you are constructing a high-end specialized commercial facility. And every dollar spent on build-out is capital sunk into a space you ultimately do not own. Once the doors swing open, your financial clock starts ticking with ruthless consistency. Regardless of whether 40 students show up or 0, your monthly operating expenses remain completely unyielding. Commercial rent represents the single massive anchor dragging down your balance sheet. Finding a space that meets the specific physical criteria for martial arts high ceilings, clear span floors without structural pillars blocking the mat, adequate floor loading capacity, and proper commercial zoning means paying top-tier market rates across urban and suburban markets. But base rent is only the opening move in a commercial lease negotiation. Most first-time dojo owners fall directly into the triple net lease trap. Under triple net terms, standard across commercial real estate, You are not merely paying for the physical space, you are legally obligated to pay your landlord a proportional share of the building's real estate taxes, overall property insurance premiums, and common area maintenance fees. These additional line items hit your bank account every single month, like an unexpected secondary rent bill, squeezing operating margins before you even account for basic utilities. Then comes physical liability insurance. You are running an enterprise where human beings actively punch, kick, throw, and choke one another. Injuries are not a statistical anomaly. They are an absolute operational guarantee. General liability coverage for grappling, striking, and weapons programs demands significant monthly capital. Operating without comprehensive coverage is financial suicide. A single severe neck injury or compound fracture on the mat can trigger a lawsuit that wipes out your business and personal assets in one swift legal motion. Add to this the cost of instructor payroll. A healthy, well-structured academy must ensure that total payroll does not swallow more than a third of gross monthly revenue. The moment payroll expenses creep past half of your gross income, the business enters a structural death spiral. When you combine payroll with mandatory software subscriptions, credit card processing fees, and ongoing maintenance, your monthly break-even point reaches daunting heights before the owner draws a single dollar in personal salary. To survive this wall of fixed overhead, successful academies rely on a sophisticated dual revenue engine. The foundation is monthly recurring tuition. Students pay a fixed membership fee that automatically debits from their bank accounts on the first of every month. This recurring revenue model is the holy grail of commercial fitness. It provides predictable cash flow that allows you to pay rent, cover insurance, and plan payroll months in advance. However, relying solely on monthly dues is why thousands of dojos struggle just to keep the lights on. The most profitable academies in the industry generate nearly a third of their total gross revenue through high-margin ancillary streams. These streams monetize floor space and staff hours that you are already paying for. The most powerful ancillary engine is the rank promotion system. Every few months, students undergo formal belt testing to evaluate their technical progress. Parents and adult practitioners pay a dedicated testing fee to participate. For higher rank examinations or black belt evaluations, these fees multiply significantly. Because the direct cost of a cloth belt and a printed certificate is virtually zero, belt testing operates at near total profit margins, creating massive quarterly cash injections on top of regular monthly tuition. Next is private instruction arbitrage. When a dedicated student pays for a one-on-one half-hour private lesson, they are utilizing mat space you already lease, taught by an instructor already on your payroll. The profit margin on private lessons is extraordinarily high, turning empty mat hours into pure operational cash. Finally, retail equipment sales custom-branded kimonos, sparring gear, rash guards, and protective equipment carry massive markups over wholesale costs. The overarching financial formula for a highly successful academy is crystal clear. Monthly membership dues must cover 100% of your fixed operational overhead. Every single dollar brought in through belt testing, private lessons, and gear sales then flows straight to the bottom line as owner profit. One of the most catastrophic errors committed by passionate martial artists entering business is what industry consultants call survival pricing. Driven by fear of local competition or a misplaced desire to make their art accessible to everyone, new owners set their monthly tuition rates dramatically below prevailing market averages. On paper, this strategy seems intuitively logical. Lower prices lower the barrier to entry, attracting a flood of new students through the door. In operational reality, survival pricing is a slow-motion execution of your business balance sheet. When you charge bottom-dollar tuition in a market where established competitors charge premium rates, you do not attract the most dedicated, long-term practitioners. You attract the most price-sensitive consumers in your demographic. These are the individuals who will cancel their membership the exact moment their personal budget tightens, when their work schedule becomes slightly inconvenient, or when a brand new gym opens down the street, offering a temporary promotional discount. Furthermore, low tuition forces you into a mathematical nightmare. To cover your fixed commercial lease and utility overhead at a discounted rate, you need nearly double the active student body of a premium-priced school. Double the students means double the foot traffic, higher wear and tear on your expensive matting, overcrowded classes, lower instruction quality, and immense administrative friction. You end up working 80 hours a week, managing a chaotic, packed facility, while making less net income than an operator with half your student count, who simply charged what their time was worth. Conversely, smart operators utilize family membership packages as a defensive financial moat. When a parent enrolls multiple children alongside themselves, the social cost of cancellation becomes almost insurmountable. Quitting the school no longer means dropping a simple personal gym membership. It means dismantling a shared family routine and pulling children away from their social circle. Family plan accounts exhibit dramatically lower churn rates, serving as the most rock-solid financial foundation a suburban dojo can build. The physical location you select for your academy will silently dictate your customer acquisition costs for the entire lifespan of your lease, and it does so in ways that novice owners fail to comprehend until they are 12 months into a commercial contract. Imagine two potential spaces. Option A is tucked deep inside an industrial park on the outskirts of town. The base rent is exceptionally cheap, offering massive square footage for a fraction of retail prices. Option B is located directly inside a vibrant suburban strip mall, anchored by a major grocery store, with high visibility frontage right along the main evening commute route. Opting for the industrial park to save a few $1,000s a month looks like prudent financial management on an Excel spreadsheet. In reality, it is an operational trap. Academies positioned in high-visibility retail corridors enjoy student retention rates exponentially higher than those hidden away in industrial zones. The reason is rooted entirely in consumer psychology and suburban logistics. For a busy parent managing school pickups, sports practices, and dinner prep, convenience is not a secondary luxury. It is the ultimate deciding factor. If dropping off their 8-year-old child for martial arts requires navigating a dark, poorly lit industrial estate with chaotic truck parking at 5:30 in the afternoon, the operational friction quickly leads to cancellation. If dropping off that same child allows the parent to park safely in a bright commercial plaza, grab groceries next door, or run errands during class, attendance remains rock solid. The glowing exterior sign facing thousands of commuting cars every evening serves as a permanent, passive marketing billboard. The money you save on industrial rent is instantly spent on expensive digital advertising just to convince people that your hidden facility actually exists. Every martial arts club faces a deep demographic decision. Are you building a combat academy for adult practitioners or a character development center for local children? The financial dynamics of these two markets could not be more polarized. Adult programs, particularly specialized Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, or mixed martial arts, represent the aspirational romantic vision of the sport. Adult students pay premium monthly dues, train with intense technical passion, and provide the competitive depth that keeps elite instructors intellectually engaged. But from a pure business perspective, relying primarily on an adult student base is an operational nightmare. Adult memberships suffer from horrific annual churn rates. Adults face unexpected career shifts, demanding overtime, family obligations, financial crunches, and physical wear and tear. In full-contact martial arts, a single joint injury or severe sprain suffered by a 35-year-old accountant can result in an immediate cancellation. When a respected veteran adult member quits, it often triggers a domino effect among their training partners. Youth programs operate on an entirely different financial logic. When a parent enrolls their child in a structured martial arts program, they are not purchasing combat proficiency or cage fighting techniques. They are purchasing focus, emotional discipline, improved school behavior, anti-bullying confidence, and structured physical exercise 3 days a week. These emotional outcomes are virtually immune to price sensitivity. As long as the parent sees visible improvements in their child's respectfulness and self-confidence, they keep renewing the monthly tuition without hesitation. In top-tier suburban academies, youth programs account for the vast majority of total enrollment, operating with astonishingly low churn rates. The youth program provides the stable, recurring financial bedrock that pays the commercial lease, allowing the owner the luxury of running specialized adult classes in the evening. Long before modern gym franchises invented gamified fitness apps and digital street counters, martial arts masters in late 19th century Japan created the ultimate customer retention engine, the colored belt ranking system. In behavioral psychology, this mechanism is governed by the goal gradient effect, the principle that human beings dramatically accelerate their effort and psychological commitment as they perceive themselves closing in on a visible, tangible reward. A student who just earned their yellow belt is not reflecting on the past 6 months. Their brain is already locked onto the upcoming orange belt. The belt system transforms abstract physical progression into a visual, gamified ladder of social status. However, embedded within this psychological progression sits a critical operational failure point that destroys dojos that do not manage it with precision. In striking arts like karate or taekwondo, student dropouts spike catastrophically around the 1-year mark, a phenomenon veteran instructors call the green belt exodus. At the beginner levels, progress is rapid and rewards are frequent. But as a student reaches the middle tier, the curriculum expands drastically. Dynamic combinations become complex, physical sparring becomes demanding, and students training only once a week hit an intimidating skill plateau. Without intermediate progression markers, such as microstripe systems, awarded between major belt ranks, struggling students lose their sense of momentum, feel overwhelmed, and quietly cancel their memberships. In Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, the exact same phenomenon manifests after a student earns their blue belt. The initial excitement of learning self-defense vanishes, replaced by the daunting realization that reaching the purple belt requires years of relentless mat time. Academies that fail to engineer structured milestone tracking technique, certifications, attendance milestone patches, and structured progress check-ins lose their members at the exact moment those students are closest to transitioning into lifelong practitioners. Seeing the operational chaos faced by independent dojo owners, turnkey franchise systems stepped into the market, promising a proven corporate blueprint for commercial success. Networks like Premier Martial Arts sold licensing rights to their branded curricula, marketing systems, and operational playbooks, pitching a plug-and-play model for aspiring owners. The financial reality of the franchise model, however, adds a heavy layer of overheads to an already tight balance sheet. To buy into a premier national franchise, an operator must pay a massive upfront franchise fee. Total initial investments, including mandated high-end build-outs, reach hundreds of thousands of dollars. On top of this initial capital outlay, the franchisee is legally locked into paying ongoing monthly royalties, typically around 7% of gross monthly sales, plus an additional mandatory contribution to a national advertising fund. Calculate the cumulative weight of these fees over a multi-year lease. A school generating modest gross monthly revenue hands over tens of thousands of dollars annually directly to the corporate franchisor before paying a single dollar toward local commercial rent, utility bills, or instructor payroll. This model led to massive legal friction across the industry. Franchise systems faced high-profile class action litigation filed by disillusioned franchise owners. The lawsuits alleged that franchise disclosure documents had severely overstated average school performance, drastically understated actual build-out costs, and heavily marketed a semi-absentee ownership dream, convincing investors they could run a profitable martial arts academy while working a corporate day job. The courtroom battles exposed an undeniable fundamental truth about this industry. No corporate franchise playbook can compensate for an owner who is absent from the mat. A martial arts academy is not a passive automated asset like a car wash or a laundromat. It is an intensely personal, community-driven service business. The exact moment the primary owner steps away and treats the dojo as a passive cash machine, the culture fragments, student retention collapses, and the balance sheet disintegrates under the weight of mandatory corporate royalty fees. Consider the story of John Machado. One of the famed Machado brothers, John trained directly alongside the Gracie family in Brazil, the very pioneers who formalized Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and introduced it to the world. He moved to California, established a world-renowned academy in Los Angeles, and built an untouchable personal reputation in the global martial arts community. Yet, despite his undisputed technical lineage and elite martial arts status, running a commercial academy in his early years presented intense administrative and financial strain. Machado has spoken candidly about the steep learning curve required to bridge the gap between being a world-class practitioner on the mat and becoming a competent manager behind the desk. Commercial lease negotiations, digital marketing campaigns, automated billing execution, insurance compliance, and staff payroll had nothing to do with what 20 years of elite grappling had taught him. Now, let us examine two real-world operators in the same metropolitan market, teaching the exact same martial discipline out of identical 3,000-square-foot commercial spaces. Operator A runs an organized, systematic academy with 120 active members paying standard monthly tuition. They execute a disciplined 90-day student onboarding protocol, contacting new members at day 7, day 30, and day 90 to ensure seamless integration. Automated bank billing covers nearly 90% of their student base. Belt testing events are scheduled with precision every quarter, generating consistent ancillary cash injections. The owner teaches less than 30% of the weekly classes, spending the rest of their time managing marketing campaigns, staff training, and retention systems. The result? A clean, predictable six-figure annual net income. Operator B started at the exact same point with 120 members, but due to sloppy onboarding, zero progress tracking, and unorganized manual billing, half their students quit within 6 months. Desperate to cover their commercial rent, Operator B doubled their digital ad spend, throwing thousands of dollars at unoptimized ad campaigns. Because they lacked a follow-up protocol for trial leads, acquisition costs exploded while conversion rates collapsed. Total monthly expenses ballooned past monthly income, reducing the owner's annual earnings to a fraction of a minimum wage salary. The $90,000 annual gap between these two owners had nothing to do with martial arts technique. It was dictated entirely by the quality of the business operating system running behind the front desk. The martial arts industry across the United States, the United Kingdom, and global commercial markets remains extraordinarily profitable for operators who understand the true nature of the business they are running. The dojo owners generating healthy six-figure incomes from a single location did not achieve financial independence because their sidekicks were sharper or their grappling technique was superior to everyone else in town. They succeeded because they accepted, early enough in their journey, that they were constructing a commercial enterprise, an enterprise that demands the exact same systematic discipline, relentless repetition, and emotional control behind the front desk that they spent decades mastering on the training floor. 60% of new martial arts schools do not fail because there was no market demand for self-defense or youth fitness. The demand is perpetual. They fail because the founder could never cross the psychological chasm between being a passionate martial arts expert and becoming an effective commercial business manager. Being the most dangerous fighter in the room does not make you a competent operator of a commercial lease. Physical mastery will never substitute for balance sheet management when the landlord comes collecting monthly rent. The belt hanging on your wall is what inspires new students to walk through your front door. But the business system running behind your front desk is the only thing that keeps them paying, keeps your mats open, and ensures your financial survival. If you decide to step into this arena, enter with your eyes wide open. You are not just teaching an art, you are signing a commercial real estate lease, managing staff payroll, executing marketing strategy, and engineering a long-term retention machine. The operators who mastered that math before signing their lease are still open today. The ones who ignored the math are nothing more than a cautionary statistic in a $22 billion industry.